Hey, welcome to Lesson 103 of Saxon Math, Course 2. In this lesson, we're going to get into some pretty heavy stuff, but it's not too bad, really. If you have to, watch it 2 or 3 times. But we're going to talk about powers of negative numbers, dividing terms, and the square roots of monomials. We're going to determine whether the sign of the product of 3 or more factors is positive or negative just by counting them up. We're going to raise the negative number to a power, and we're going to divide terms by removing pairs of factors that equal 1. And we're going to use 2 methods to find the square root of a monomial. All right, so let's get started. All right, so one way that we can multiply 3 or more signs is to keep track of them is just to do it from left to right. So if you look at the top here, if we take 3 times 4, I'm sorry, let me back up to that. Okay, if we take our 3 times 4 and we multiply that together, we get a positive 12. And then if we take positive 12 times a positive 5, we get positive 60. If we take positive 60 times a negative 2, we get a negative 120. And we times a negative 120 times a positive 3, we get a negative 360. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it involves this, is that if we just count up the negatives, so up here we've got 1, 2, 3 negatives. Well, you'll notice that 3 negatives is odd. Right? And you'll notice that each time that it's odd, we end up with a negative answer. So we could have just went 3 times 4 times 5 times 2 times 3, got 360, and then put a negative sign in front of it because we have an odd amount of negative signs. So if the number of negative factors is even, then the product's going to be positive, right? 2 negatives make a positive, right? And if the number of negative factors is odd, then the product is going to be negative. So 1 negative, 1 positive, that's an odd amount. That's only 1 negative. That's an odd number, so that makes it negative. If you had negative times a positive times a negative, what would your answer be? It would be positive because you have two negative signs, which makes it even. All right, so get the idea? All right, let's try this. All right, so let's do this. First of all, just look at this for me for a minute. Now, 3 times 4 times a negative 5 times negative 2 times negative 3. First of all, you should be able to immediately tell me whether your answer is going to be negative or positive. What's it going to be? Your answer is going to be negative because you've got 3 negative signs, and that's odd. So we know our answer is going to be negative. Then we just got to do our multiplication. And when we do that, 3 times 4 times 5 times 2 times 3, we get 360. All right, easy enough? All right, let's look at something a little bit tougher. All right, so when we see negative 3 to the 4th power, what we have to remember is that means negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Well, knowing that, if you look at this right here, this problem up here, is this going to be positive or negative? It's going to be a positive answer because we have an even amount of negative signs. We have 4 of them. All right, so bearing that in mind, let's go down here. Okay, so this one here, is this going to be negative or positive? Yeah, it's going to be positive because we have 4 negative signs, which is an even amount of negative signs. Is this going to be positive or negative? It's going to be negative. So then we just do the math, right? 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, that's 4, that's 8, that's 16, so this is going to be positive 16. Then over here we got that positive 16 plus another 2 is 32, because we have 5 2's on this side here. And so, but that's going to be negative. So, right, that should be our answers. Let's take a look and see. All right, it is great. We love it when we're right. Okay, so now let's move on to something a little bit more complex. All right, when you see this, that can look pretty scary, but it's not if you'll take the moment, get out your pencil, and show your work. And you'll do it like this here. You break it down. Okay, you take that 4 and you factor it, and that's 2 times 2. You take your 3 A's, lay them out. Take your 2 B's, put them out. Then down here in the bottom, you got an A and a B, and then you're just going to cancel them out. It's going to cancel them out, and then what's left over, you're going to put back together. 2 times 2 is 4. A times A is A squared, and a B is a B. So do that with example 3. See if you can do that. See if you can break it apart. Pause the video, and then restart it. Okay. For me, I'm just going to, instead of doing a bunch of 2's and 3's and stuff with that 12, I just know that 3 goes into 12 4 times. So I know I'm going to have a 4 on top of my line. And I know my 3's gone away. So then on top I've got 4 times x times x times x times y. And I have a z and I have a z. At the bottom, I have an x and an x and a y. All right, so now I start to cancel things out. Okay, and I'm left with 4x, and z times z is z squared. That's what I get. And it looks like our bottom has all gone away. And there, we've got the right answer. There we go. We love it when we're right. 4x z squared. All right, a little bit new. I know it's new. Back up. Do it again. Watch it again. All right, so let's look at this one here. This one here, I'm going to factor them out just because 8 doesn't go into 10 really smooth with a whole number. So pause your video, you do it, and then watch me do it. Okay, so let's start here on the top here. Let's just go ahead and draw our line. Okay, so I got 10, so that's going to be 5 times 2. And then I have an A times an A times an A. And I have a B. I have a C times a C. That's my top. My bottom, I've got a 4. Oh, no, I got a 2 times a 2 times a 2. Then I have an A, a B, and one C. Okay, so I factored that all out. Now I can start canceling them out, right? I get rid of that. I get rid of that. I get rid of that A with this A. I get rid of this B with this B. And I get rid of this C with this C. So what I'm left on top is 5A. If I multiply those, I get A squared and a C. And on the bottom, I get 2 times 2 is 4 and a B. So my answer should be 5A squared C over 4B. Hey, there it is. How about that? There, we got it. We love that. We love it when we're right, right? Right there. 5A squared C over 4B. Get the idea? I mean, it's really easy. If you factor it out like this, it's easy. If you don't, it can be hard. And we're going to learn how to do it the other way without having to factoring it out, so it's a little bit faster. But please don't just jump to that. Don't make that leap yet. Do it this way, please, for the time being, and then we'll make that leap. We'll get to that higher level thinking if you know, because we're going to have to. All right, so now let's talk about this monomial and perfect squares and prime factorizations and how they can be separate and broken up. So if you get 25x squared, that can be factored out to be 5 times 5 and x times x, which is 5x times 5x. So that is a perfect square. All right, a monomial, it's a perfect square because it can be broken out exactly with 2 exactly the same. So now let's look at these 3 down here and see if you can tell me which of them is a perfect square also. Let's look at A. Can 8 be a perfect square? Just, you can't. It doesn't even work. 8 kills it already, right? So that one can go away because 8 can't be squared. It's not a perfect square. Is 4? Yeah, it is. 2, right? 2. Square root of 4 is 2, so that works. How about x? Yep, x works. So you got, but what about y? 1. Does y 1, is that a perfect square? It's not. You can't do half a y. So that one doesn't work. So our answer is going to be C. But let's look y, okay? 36 is really 6 times 6, right? And x squared is really x times x. And y to the 4th is really y squared times y squared. So this one here can be, this is a perfect square, and it happens to be 6xy squared. All right, so that's our perfect square, is that one right there. And when we square it, we get this right here. Pretty cool stuff, isn't it? All right, let's see if you can do this one here. What is the answer? That's the one we just did, right? Don't go back. Don't go back. See if you can remember it. Go ahead, see if you can remember. Write it down. Do it. All right, it was 6xy squared, wasn't it? All right, so here's a practice set. Let's see if you can do this on your own now. I'll pause it. You pause it and see what you come up with. And let's see if you can please do this. You need to know this. This is going to blow your mind if you don't do it, if you don't learn it. All right, let's go ahead and look at the first one. How many times does 3 go into 6? Well, it goes in 2, so that's easy. We got that one done. All right, and then we've got our line. All right, let's go ahead and do our line. We have A, B, 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 and a C. Then we have an A and a B down here. Because the 3's gone away because we already did the 6 and the 3 became the 2. So we get rid of the A's, we get rid of a B. So we're left with 2A, B squared, C. 2AB squared C. Hey, there we go. We love it when we're right. Hopefully you did that too. Now, let's do the second one. All right. Okay, so you pause it. You've already done this. Hopefully, this is what you did. You took 2 times 2 times 2, because that's 8. Then you have 1x. You have 3 y's. And 1 looks like a g, doesn't it? Then you got a z and a z. All of that's going to be over 3 times 2 for our 6, an x, and a y. All right? So we get rid of this 2. We get rid of this 2. We get rid of this x. We get rid of this x. We can get rid of this y, which looks like a g, with this y here. Now let's see what we're left over. We're left with 2 times 2 on the top. Let's do the top first. 2 times 2 is 4. 2y, so y squared. We're not adding, we're multiplying those. Understand that if we were adding them, that would be 2y, but we're not. These are all being multiplied. Okay? I just can't make little dots between them. Y squared and then z squared. All right, that's our top. Then our bottom, we got a 3. We have 1x, all over 3x. That should be our answer. Is that what you got? Let's see. There it is. All right, hopefully you did that. All right, there you go. There's your problems. Do those tonight. Submit them to me online. Bring your questions you have. We'll talk about them tomorrow in class. I appreciate you. Thanks. Bye.